welcome back to Third Rate Content. Today we are on the Shropshire Staffordshire border and we are at the historic priory of the White Ladies, and we're going to be having a good explore around this ruin, and we're going to be hearing some of the myths, legends and folklore and history of this place. So buckle up and I'll see you out here. White Ladies Priory is thought to have been founded in about 1199. Of course, that's the ruins that we're visiting today, the physical ruins. There has probably been a religious house here previous to this. But the difference between a priory and an abbey is that a priory is usually a subsidiary house to another larger abbey. I'm not 100% sure who White Ladies Priory was a subsidiary of, though. If anyone knows, just comment. The nook here looks ancient, and you just wonder what was kept in it over time. The other sign of a rail here indicates usage way after the dissolution of the monasteries and the Reformation in the 1500s. And it is thought that White Ladies Priory has been used in subsequent years after its time as a priory as a graveyard for certain families. Of course, we are on the Grail quest today. King Arthur's wife, Guinevere, was meant to have retired here after King Arthur had either fallen in battle and been taken to Avalon, or when everything had gone wrong in Arthur's time, and Guinevere was supposed to have had an affair with Lancelot, I believe. And after that, she retired. After either one of these reasons, she retired to the White Ladies Priory, which could well be the White Ladies Priory we're at today. Because ladies of rank throughout the ages would retire to somewhere like White Ladies Priory if they had been disgraced in marriage, like had an extramarital affair, or other reasons where they had to be sort of moved to the side. Possibly your husband dying in battle, kind of like Arthur. According to Manly P. Hall, the 20th century expert in the esoteric and occult, who wrote The Secret Teachings of the Ages, he said for anybody interested in the Grail legends, it would be well for all to make a study of those tales that are listed under the heading Children's Fairy Tales, such as the tales of King Arthur. And according to Emma Young, wife of the founder of analytical psychology, Carl Gustav Jung, in her book, which she wrote with Marie-Louise von Franz in the book The Holy Grail Legends. The Grail signifies a stage of development in the human spirit when a person is no longer satisfied with working things or the materialist view, and goes beyond this and endows the concrete with a symbolic meaning. Yeah, and of course, we're out here on Third Rate Content on our Holy Grail quests, or the Holy Grail quest. We've been to several locations already, and we're on this sort of material search for the Holy Grail, but of course, we're all on the other search for the Holy Grail. I mean, you don't have to leave your front room or leave your armchair. Just watch Third Rate Content and you will get the spiritual search for the Holy Grail as well, because apparently your consciousness just raises just looking into these things. So we're raising our consciousness together here on Third Rate Content, because the struggles of the questing knights on the search for the Holy Grail is the path of initiation. Yeah, the carving on the right there, the sort of cobweb, is graffiti, I think. But it's not like tree graffiti where it grows up like we saw at Whittington Castle. That is about a fair few feet up, and it would have taken some trouble to do it. So obviously it probably had some meaning to whoever carved that. They must have brought a stepladder at least with them on their visit to White Ladies Priory. The marriage of Arthur and Guinevere can be viewed as a materialist marriage, but it also can be viewed as an alchemical or spiritual marriage, when the body, Arthur, and the spirit, Guinevere, are united. And on the sword in the stone, which Arthur is said by some people, Graham Phillips included, is to have pulled from quite near here at Mitchell's Fold stone circle. I mean, we've showed it on this channel, when the king must free his spirit from the lower man or the lower world, the stone, and move on, such as Arthur did. So there's sort of a parable in that story, a divine parable. The Holy Grail itself was said to be made from the crown of Lucifer, because in alchemical terms, Lucifer is said to be the divine spirit of the universe, not so much the devil. And it was said the Grail, the crown jewel in Lucifer's crown, was said to have been struck from the crown by the Archangel Michael in the battle in heaven, the legendary battle in heaven, and it fell to earth and became the cup that the blood of the Christ was collected in. after the crucifixion, otherwise known as the Golgotha event. And of course there is a similarity that I can see between the Knights of the Round Table, Arthur's Knights of the Round Table, and the Knights Templar, the guardians of the Holy Sepulchre and the Temple and the Temple Mount and their round churches. So there is that similarity that I've noticed. I bet the daffodils have popped where you are now and when you are. We were filming on the early February 2024 when we did this. Of course, Guinevere was supposedly born 35 miles from here, just near Oswestry, at Old Oswestry Hill Fort. But like I said, after her sort of retirement from being King Arthur's wife, she retired to the Priory of the White Ladies, which we do believe could well have been this priory where we are today. Of course, it wasn't the building made of stone where the ruin of is here today. Back in the 500s, it would have been made of wood, a timber sort of edifice or building. But this site could have been in use for years and years. But Guinevere means in Old Brythonic white spirit, the white spirit. So a white lady, it could have got the name from here, from Guinevere. Though it could have also have been from the nuns who called this priory their home. Their habits were white. Although they weren't actually dyed white, they were undyed. So they were completely natural, the colour that was made. There was no dye used. It was either from poverty or more likely just to show that they were natural and pure. Yeah, another white lady connected with the priory here was a statue of the Virgin Mary. The statue was supposed to have stood in the middle of the priory for centuries and was removed by the nuns. It was made of fine white marble and was believed to have miraculous powers. Whenever terrible things were about to happen, deaths, wars, famines, the statue was said to have glowed with a shining golden light. This was a warning to give the nuns time to prepare. Yeah, legend has it that the last time the statue glowed was in 1530, a few years before Henry VIII's soldiers were knocking on the door here to close it down after the dissolution of the monasteries. The soldiers were here to steal the nuns' valuables, close the abbey down, or the priory down, basically chuck the nuns out. But the statue, which would have been around here somewhere, had disappeared when the soldiers arrived, thankfully. Yeah, after the nuns were evicted, the priory was sold into the private market and was bought by one Charles Clifford. He also owned Boscobel House, just down the road from here. And he was the man who hid Charles II when he was on the run after his army's defeat in the Battle of Worcester in 1561. Charles II had to spend the night in a very undignified manner hiding in an oak tree. The oak tree went on to be called the Royal Oak, and Hundreds of public houses have got that name to this day, the length and breadth of England. Yeah, Charles II then had to hide in Boscobel House in a priest hole there and lay low, and there was Cromwell's men were heard by him saying, if anybody is hiding the escaped king, they will be killed. But luckily Charles II escaped and made his way to France, and then some years later did come back to England and was the king in the 1660s. And the last of our stories about White Ladies Abbey is from the early 1980s, and it features once again Graham Phillips. I came across this when I was researching White Ladies Priory, and I thought that is really, really interesting. And then I read on and I really realised it involved Graham Phillips, whose work we have been following a bit. Some of his work we've been following on our Holy Grail quest. So anyway, let's hear all about what happened. On the night of the 1st of February 1982, a group of psychic questers followed a psychic trail that they'd been on, with a green stone that they had found on the trail, which led them here to the White Ladies Priory. Psychic questing, I'll just tell you now, is a little bit like sort of remote viewing, if you know what that is. It's where prompts and images received in the mind of a psychic person, are used and followed. You know, people can do drawings from the images to try and get a fix on where they're going, or just sort of follow them. And anyway, Graham Phillips and his companions on their psychic quest were led here. But the 1st of February was a very important date to the ancient Celts and modern day pagans. This day was symbolic, one of the major Sabbats in the wheel of the year, and it was a chilly night in the ruins of White Ladies Priory. Although it's not night time now, it's February, and it's actually quite chilly today. I don't know if you can tell by my nose. But Graham Phillips and his co-author, Martin Keatman, described a showdown with the Prince of Darkness himself. Something evil rose from a grassy mound adjacent to the priory. It took the form of a giant, shadowy dragon or bird, and it swooped down to attack those present. Of course, we're taking Mr. Phillips and Mr. Keatman's word for it, but it's a great story. But there are actually two versions of the tale. Let's hear them. In the one, the green stone that the party of psychic questers had received on an earlier leg of their quest saved them from the actual spirit. And in another version of the story, the stone itself was said to be evil, and the dragon, or the evil spirit, or the dangerous spirit, had risen from the tumulus to protect what remained in the tumulus from the stone. I don't know which version is the truth, but it is quite a story. And the only thing is, I've had a good look around the immediate site of the priory, and I can't see any tumulus. You know, and I've got a bit of experience. Well, we have with tumuluses, having visited the burial mound, barrow or tumulus of the last king of Penguin, Cumdillan. But it is believed by Graham Phillips and Martin Keatman that the burial mound that they came across could have contained the remains of Guinevere, or in the old language, Guinevere. And it explained that the dragon was protecting the remains of the Queen of King Arthur from the early medieval Dark Ages. And of course, Arthur's father was known as Uther Pendragon, so it ties in the dragon and the burial mound, the tumulus, and the remains of Queen Guinevere with this place. Because ancient people didn't just build a sacred site like this just because they like the view here. There was something, as we've said before on Third Rate Content, there was something about these sites going right back, maybe to the Bronze Age and before. Who knows how long these sites have been in use, but there was something here that enticed them to build here. And then the subsequent people who came after, you know, subsequent religions and peoples continued to build on these religious sites, just like White Ladies Priory. But thank you for watching to the end of today's Third Rate Content. Been really interesting. It's a place I've been wanting to come for ages. I mean, I've seen it on YouTube a few times. There's been quite a few like ghost hunters, paranormal investigators come here, and yeah, I thought I've got to check that place out. We don't doing any paranormal investigation, but to me, everyday life is a paranormal investigation. You know, it's all around you all the time. Just if you open your eyes and see it, or if you just raise your consciousness. I'm not saying people aren't raising their consciousness. I'm just saying that's what it feels like to me. So yeah, it's been great today. And if I don't see you soon, I'll see you 3 times as soon. If you want to, leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Although what I have noticed, and I've been told that people who have hit the notification bell, they're not being notified when I upload a video half the time. Someone just told me the other day, it was 3 or 4 days after a video had been uploaded that they got the notification, if at all. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with YouTube there. It doesn't like Third Rate Content. Oh well, no one asked me to do this channel, and I have a great time making these videos, so we're going to be continuing all, you know, until we run out of sites to visit. So anyway, thank you for watching to the end. And that's everything. See you soon. Bye bye. And before we go, I'm just going to say we are planning a visit to Hawkston Park Follies, which contains the mysterious Red Castle. Our next stop on the Third Rate Content Holy Grail quest, the quest for the Grail. And we won't be sparing any coconuts.
It is I, Arthur, son of Uther Pendragon from the castle of Camelot, king of the Britons.